Hey everyone, I wanted to spend a little time going down memory lane, talking about my personal journey from poker player to real estate agent to Amazon wholesale seller. So this is a picture of my poker days back in 2012, about 12 years ago. I used to play both live poker and online poker. This was kind of the lifestyle that I led. Did pretty well with it, but there were a lot of ups and downs. So eventually got into real estate. This is a funny picture from, 516 weeks ago. So I guess that makes it about 10 years. This was once my dream car, the Tesla Model S, when it was first coming out. Funny enough, someone said, whoever poses next to a car will never own that car. And we'll see later in the presentation whether that's true or not. So after real estate, which we'll kind of gloss over here, I wanted a change in my career, and I watched a YouTube video, much like you guys are probably watching now, which is kind of ironic, but I learned, the basics on how to sell on Amazon. Initially, I sold on Amazon with the arbitrage business model. So pictured here, you can see some things I bought from various stores and online retailers. I was working right off my kitchen table packing products. To be honest, it was kind of fun. But quickly realized that it wouldn't be sustainable working out of my small one-bedroom apartment. So I ended up taking a leap of faith, renting a small warehouse space, as you can see below. This is the end of maybe year one, and I've got a couple packing tables, some products going out. It's funny that I see a kitchen scale here. That was one of my first scales, right in the middle of the floor there, and that's how I was weighing boxes. So I learned about something called a digital scale. I'm not sure why it took me a whole year, but yeah, you can see kind of the small beginnings just 6 years ago from when I started the business. A couple years down the road, ended up getting a bigger space. This is a friend of mine who's also in the business with me. We were doing arbitrage on a bigger scale, and as you can see, the warehouse is kind of packed floor to ceiling with a bunch of boxes, and it was kind of chaotic. We were making some money for sure, but there were a lot of orders getting canceled. There were orders not even showing up at all. It was very hard to keep track of everything. So I knew there was a better way to go about this. I saw the potential of Amazon and wanted to be in it long term. So that's when I kind of sought out different business models. Here's another shot of about where I was at before I leapt into wholesale. Doing some sneaker reselling, some merchant fulfilled orders here, some FBA, pretty well versed with the basics, but all, arbitrage, nothing purchased wholesale from a wholesale distributor or brand directly. Because of that, there are a lot of problems that came with it. So this was a snapshot years ago at my account health. Even though the bar says great on the top right, don't let that fool you. You're one problem away, or severe problem away from, Amazon shutting down your whole account. And these days in the year 2024, brands can gate their brand suddenly, meaning you can't sell it anymore with zero notice, which I think is pretty unfair, but that's just the reality that we're living in. So that's a risk if you're, arbitraging brands that you're unauthorized for. Intellectual property complaints, as you can see, a lot of brands do not want unauthorized resellers on their products. They'll submit an IP complaint through Amazon, and it's then on you to appeal it, and hopefully Amazon will accept your appeal, but many times they don't. So mitigating, brand gating and intellectual property complaints, and even other types of complaints like, authenticity or safety complaints, it's very difficult to do that when you're arbitraging. Often what you need for successful appeals are invoices, either from the supplier directly or an authorized distributor of that brand. These days I sleep much better at night knowing that these account health issues can all be dealt with directly with very little risk of them not being accepted. And fast forward to today, I've built a business doing $20 million of revenue a year, and that is rapidly growing. I wouldn't be surprised in 12 months from now, I'll be saying that number is 30 million, then 40, 50, up to 100 million. My ultimate goal is to get up into the 9-figure range, and I believe I have the tools and practices to do it. So part of what I do is teaching others how to either transition from an arbitrage business model to a wholesale business model, or if you've never even sold on Amazon, skipping arbitrage altogether, skipping a lot of the headaches and just going into what I know works as a scalable, sustainable business model. So you can get to a certain level in arbitrage, but you're going to hit some sort of wall where it's very, very difficult to keep scaling. And, it's just so volatile. Whereas wholesale is kind of laying a foundation brick by brick and then building on that foundation. And it gets stronger and stronger and stronger as you have more and more positive relationships with your suppliers. And these are some of the tools that I use. Google, it's almost insulting that that's up there, but it can be as easy as Googling local suppliers in your area. And if you get creative with the Google searches, there's no shortage of suppliers to find. Nowadays, I use a software to, kind of streamline my search. I can filter brands for criteria that I want to find. So that means Amazon's not retailing the product, or the brand themselves is not retailing on Amazon, and certain revenue ranges, anything you want, any category you want to look at, any type of brand you want to work with. This software makes it really easy. And I didn't have this when I was starting out, so it was a lot of manual searching, which still works, but it's never been easier to just filter down the entire Amazon catalog into brands that are likely to work with you. So fortunately in 2024, we have excellent software to make basically every aspect of running a wholesale business a lot easier than it used to be. And one thing I want to talk about in particular with brand direct wholesale, there's a major misconception that you need to have $1 million to purchase brand direct. But the truth is, there are a lot of brands out there. There are huge brands like Apple and Samsung and Procter & Gamble and Lego and you name it. And yeah, you're right. You probably won't be able to get a brand direct account with them. I won't be able to get a brand direct account with them. However, there are brands of all shapes, sizes, personalities, ownership, and you can absolutely find these small to medium-sized brands. Even as a one-person operation, you can find these brands to partner with and create a really close relationship to not only become a seller of the product, but oftentimes an exclusive seller of the product. I have multiple students just a few months into my program that are doing exclusive deals with brands, which is crazy impressive. And, rather than, the arbitrage model of ordering directly off a website, this is kind of what the ordering looks like. So you would create a list of SKUs, how many you want, price. It's much easier to order a larger quantity, because a lot of retailers will, cap you at 2 units or 6 units or 10 units per order. Wholesale, you don't need to do that. You can say, if you want 1,000 units, you just put 1,000 units on the purchase order. If you want 20 SKUs at a time, you put all 20 SKUs on the purchase order. So it's much easier and more efficient to get huge quantities of products across a lot of different SKUs. This is basically just the supplier saying, we've received your purchase order. It's essentially what we're going to invoice you for. And it's really as simple as that. You can spend $10,000 in 5 minutes, or $100,000, or $1 million, or $10 million. It's very scalable to get that money spent. Whereas arbitrage, you might be buying 2 pairs of shoes at a time, or 2 beauty products at a time, again and again and again. And to get any sort of meaningful quantity, 300, 400, or 500 units of a product, you might be clicking buttons for 4 hours, and it's just not a scalable way to do business. And this is kind of a quote that sums up the difference in philosophies. Business happens over years and years, values measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out of any one deal. And it's kind of the paradigm shift. Arbitrage is about squeezing as much as you can from an opportunity short term with very little regard to the long term and actually building a real business. Whereas wholesale is all about forming close, trusted relationships with your suppliers and to do business for many, many years to come. Here's a snapshot of my warehouse when it was under construction a couple years. It's crazy to think how far I've come from, products on my dining room table just a few years ago to full-fledged, 2 warehouses actually, one 10,000 square feet, one 16,000 square feet. And here's the warehouse completed, filled up with product. This was a few years back. This, I think, was my 2nd year doing wholesale full-time. So Arbitrage, I hit about $1 million, and then I transitioned into wholesale and was able to hit $4 million the next 12 months. And then I grew from 6 to 10 to 12 to $20 million thereafter. And as you can see, I've built some teams, built some processes. These guys on the top are my friends. It's really important when selling on Amazon to develop, a community, whether that's personal friends or a program. It's so much easier to do this business when you obtain best practices from peers in your same, and also, get advice for when things go wrong. So definitely don't be afraid to get out there and network with other sellers. Don't have a scarcity mentality where you think, if anyone else knows about what products you're selling or what you're doing, that it's all gonna collapse. It's just not true. We're all better together. Amazon is a massive, massive marketplace. There's more than enough opportunity for everybody. And these days, things are going pretty good for me. I don't want to brag, but I'm just really happy with how the business has turned out, and I want the same level of success for others. And there is room for everyone to do what I've done. I firmly, truly believe that. And eventually you'll get to the point where suppliers, they appreciate your business so much that they're actually taking you out to events. They're wining and dining you rather than the opposite. At first, you might have to reach out and convince them to work with you, but once the money's rolling and you're putting in order after order, the tables kind of turn. So this is a supplier I had that took me and my team to a car race, which was awesome. They put us in the hospitality suite, beer, wine, food, flowing, VIP service the whole time. I mean, that's when fun and business kind of blend together. And since I started, I've kind of felt that way. Again, here, my close Amazon seller friends, all multi-7 or multi-8-figure sellers here. And then, of course, you have Jeff here, and he's photoshopped in, I'm not gonna lie. Would have been pretty cool to have a night with Jeff, but maybe in the future if I start hitting 9 figures of sales a year. And these days I'm touching 20 million on Amazon. And then there's my Tesla that people said I would never have. It all comes full circle. And then my latest venture is this community. As you can see, we've built a substantial community, as evidenced by the photo below here. These are my 2 partners, Jack and Dejan. They bring a ton of experience to the table as well. And these are some of our students and what type of results they've been able to achieve doing wholesale. So this is Jay. He's on month 2, already doing 40 a month. And I know Jay, we've talked on the phone a few times, and he's now got multiple exclusives, netting him $10,000, $15,000 a month at a very, very nice margin, 30%. And that's another misconception with wholesale, that it, by definition, has to be this fast-moving, low-volume type of stuff. And yeah, there's plenty of that, but there's also a lot of low-hanging fruit left where you can hit those 20, 25, 30+% gross margins. Here's Bray, quit my job, haven't looked back, breaking 700K to end the year. Awesome. And here's Golf. His real name is not Golf, but his wholesale account was just approved. There you go, new exclusive. There's countless others. I mean, these are just a few examples, but you can see 100K, 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 over 5K in sales per day here. Salesman cooking. I mean, there's just countless examples. So if you want to get in on this action, it sounds like it's the right move for you, whether you're a brand new seller just getting started out, or whether you already have some arbitrage experience and kind of see the writing on the wall that this may not be a sustainable way to make money and build a business. If this resonates with you and you want to secure brand direct accounts for yourself within 14 days and actually sustainably scale a business that'll be around for the long term, then just check out the link in the description below, and we can learn how we can actually guarantee your results. That's how confident we are. Thanks for listening and taking the trip down memory lane with me, and I look forward to potentially working with you to help you achieve a similar trajectory in your business. So thank you again for your time, and we will talk soon.